This is Dr. Chris and Pamela I with a recorded interview with stuntman Chris Carnel returning to Radio of Horror. Thank you for coming back on the show with us, Chris.
No problem.
Chris, you did recently one of my favorite TV series of all time, Grimm. How was that?
That was a crazy experience because when I got up there to Portland, the hair lady started to shave my head, and I said, I can't shave my head, and she was actually bringing the razor towards my hair and was going to shave it whether I wanted it or not, so I had to grab her wrist and fight her from shaving my head, and I was going to double Matthew Perry, that douchebag from Friends. I was going to double him on Monday, and this was Friday, and she's about to shave my head, and I go, I can't do this, and I'm like physically fighting with her, and the stunt coordinator walks in and goes, no, not that guy, the other guy needs his head shaved.
Oh no! So it wasn't even you.
I almost had my head shaved for no reason.
Oh,
But
that
besides
sucks.
that, it's a pretty rad show. The stunt coordinator, his name is Matt Taylor, and he runs a killer program up there. The whole crew loves him, and he brings in stunt actors and stuntmen to do all these fights, with all that prosthetic makeup. They look like monsters or whatever, and he's just doing great stuff. And my experience was, I turned into a monster. If you turn into a monster for like 2.5 seconds or less or something like that, then they don't have to put prosthetics on you. So I didn't get prosthetic up. I, quickly had this fight, and then they killed me. I end up dead on the ground, and I'm laying dead on the ground for the rest of the night. So I did a small fight, ended up dead on the ground. That was it for me.
And you were also just recently in Captain America, huh?
Yeah, I had a couple I doubled Robert Redford in Captain America. I can talk about that now, but it was all top secret for a long time that Robert Redford was even in the film.
Nice.
So it was hard for me to keep my mouth shut about that because, since I was a little boy, he was like an iconic figure. And, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to him, dressed like him, got my hair done up like him, and I looked like Robert Redford for a minute. And I said to him, I go, man, this is one of the greatest days of my career. I'm doubling Robert Redford. And he goes, hey, man, it's a great day of my career. Nice to meet you, Chris. And he was such a sweetheart. He was great.
Nice. You've also
And
recently.
I was also the fight coordinator on the film. But that was just a
Nice.
highlight for me, doubling Robert Redford. I went through a window for him. You'll see it when you see the movie. It was kind of exciting. Samuel L. Jackson shoots him. Spoiler alert. And he flies backwards through a window, and that was me. But the fights are getting good talk up because the directors, there were 2 directors on it, the Russo brothers, and they really wanted to make this film a film where they talked about the fights, where the audience goers would come out going, those fights were amazing. And I think we delivered the goods on that. I had a fight team that was, I don't know, some of the best in the business, and the whole thing came together to be quite amazing. I had James Young doubling the Winter Soldier, and Sam Hargrave doubling Captain America, and another stunt doubling Aaron Tony doubling the Falcon. So those guys did phenomenal stuff, and they get all the accolades that you could possibly imagine. I mean, they're getting such great talk up. But the gal that doubles Scarlett Johansson, her name's Heidi Moneymaker, she did a phenomenal job. I mean, this gal, Heidi Moneymaker, she's super sweet, she's kind, she's considerate, and she moves like a dynamo. She's just a phenom. Look her up, Heidi Moneymaker. Great name, too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sounds like a Bond girl.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
And she's super cute. She could be a Bond girl.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Are you a reader? Are you a big fan of? I know you're a big fan of horror movies because you go to horror conventions. And you played you played the miner from My Bloody Valentine, which is pretty cool. Are you a big comic book reader?
I'm a huge comic book fan. I became, it was Spider-Man 129, The Amazing Spider-Man 129, with the first appearance of the Punisher. That's about the time I started really. I went, that's a cool character. I just dug the Punisher because he looked really tactical, and I love that tactical stuff. Kind of guys call me a hayseed. I don't look exactly like a tactical dude. I look more like a hillbilly or something. But I just love, delivering the real tactical looking stuff. And you'll see some of that look in the fights that get executed. But the Punisher was just one of those characters that really opened my eyes up to comic books. And he became, he made a small appearance in Spider-Man 129 and then blew up to be, they made movies out of him and graphic novels and everything. I love that stuff. I love the Watchmen. What's his name? Frank Miller, that did the Dark Knight Returns.
Yep, and
graphic novel.
Sin City.
And then that one just went, I got to collect anything that Frank Miller had to do with. I bought, whether it was a cover art or a whole magazine. Ronin, phenomenal. He did a comic book called Ronin. That was one of my favorites. Anyway, I'm a comic book fan.
Yeah, and he did Daredevil and Sin City as well. Pam had a question.
Yeah, Frank Miller did a lot of Daredevil.
I got sidetracked, and I think it was kind of addressed already, but you're also a stunt performer on The Island, which is another Scarlett Johansson movie, which I think the Captain America movie was kind of the Black Widow movie. Crash, The Rundown, Grind, Employee of the Month, way back. So you've been in a lot. That's kind of big name deals. Is there anything that stands out in your mind that you kind of want to say, this is your claim to fame, kind of? What has your signature on it for the most part?
Well, this is what I usually say when I get this question. The movie, My Bloody Valentine, that put me on the map in the horror world. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted to interview me on the radio. That nobody wanted my autograph. Nobody wanted any of that stuff until I did My Bloody Valentine. When I did My Bloody Valentine, people are inviting me to horror conventions, haunted houses, all this stuff, and I was like, I've done such gnarlier stuff than I did in that movie. Why? And it just turns out that the horror fans themselves put me on the map. They were requesting, hey, get that guy to your horror convention, get that guy to the haunted house. And they're such loyal fans that they want to meet people like me that do this kind of stuff. And otherwise, I just wouldn't have much notoriety had I not done that horror film. But then a year later, I was the stunt coordinator on a film called The Crazies.
Oh, yeah.
And that film, all the action in that film has my stamp on it. I either did it or coordinated it or whatever. That is the most influence I've had on a movie.
I remember, I remember that's when I met you. You were showing off a video at your table of doing a van roll that you had to do for The Crazies.
Right, that was a Chevy Tahoe that I rolled at 70.
Yep.
It's on YouTube. If you type in Chris Carnel cannon roll from The Crazies, you can see one of the angles on that. That was I still call that the best day of my career because I had never done that before, and they didn't want me to do it because I had never done it before. And I'm like, well, how does anybody ever get their first try? I go, I'm the boss here. I say I can do it. I'm going to do it. And I said, listen, I'll tell you what. If you guys let me I'm going to do all this car work leading up to that. That's at the end of the film, correct? They go, yeah. I go, if I do everything I say I'm going to do and I'm spot on, can I do that cannon roll? And they went, yeah, that's a good deal. So I nailed all the car work in the whole picture. And then they go, I guess it's yours. And so I rolled that Chevy Tahoe at 70, and it came out perfectly. The director was practically doing backflips.
What do you got coming up?
I'm probably not supposed to say, but I'll say it anyway. I think Jungle Book is the next thing I might be doing.
Are you kidding? Really?
No.
They're doing the Jungle Book again?
Yeah. I mean,
I like this.
they
This is
keep
breaking
rehashing.
news.
I mean, for instance, the Crazies and My Bloody Valentine are rehash things, but they can redo them better now than they were done originally. So they feel like that's a good movie, but let's do it with today's technology and blow the audiences away, and it's working.
Is there anything, especially that stands out over your time as a stuntman or stunt coordinator that you look back on in film and you're like, I'm especially proud of this because...
Yeah, that cannon roll is number one of my favorite things, but I did 130 feet into an airbag 5 times in one day.
Wow.
And I'm not a fan of heights. So imagine doing something where you could die and you don't want to do it and you're afraid of it, and you do it 5 times in one day. That was a pretty big day.
Nice job.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, put a postage stamp in between your feet and stand up and look down at it on the ground. That's what the airbag looked like that I had to hit.
Rough.
Are you,
Yeah.
what do you prefer, television or movies?
I like feature films. Television, they don't give you very much time. I do television all the time. I'm known as a feature guy, but they just don't give you very much time on a feature to accomplish things. Like, for instance, on Captain America, they gave us 2 months to make up all those fights and pre-vis them, put them on video, get them approved by the directors. The main stunt coordinator, Tom Harper, who hired me, he looks at them, he might tweak it a little bit, and then after we give it to him, he gives it to the directors, they put their stamp of approval on it, or they send changes down, whatever. You don't get to do that on television. They say, make the fights up this morning, we'll shoot it this afternoon, and you go home and you work one day on pretty big fight scenes, and you have the morning to rehearse it with the actors that get to come in and out because they got to go act, on camera, and then they come in, they work with us for a little bit, we train them, teach them, so we have 4 or 5 hours to do that, and then, we're shooting it after lunch for, 4 or 5 hours, and it's just kind of brutal because good fight scenes take time to craft. If you guys want to see a really good fight scene that a lot of people are talking up, see the Raid Redemption, and then the Raid Redemption 2 just came out. It's in theaters right now, and those are really good fight movies that I like.
Interesting.
Yeah, we had the Raid Redemption for like a week, and then it left.
And what happened?
It left after a week.
Oh, so you didn't see it?
No, I didn't have a chance to. As soon as I found out it was in theaters, it was too late.
Well, when you get a chance, you can rent the first one on Redbox or whatever, and or probably Netflix. I don't know. But it's just outstanding work. But even the cameraman is trained how to shoot these fights. You'll see the camera moves in choreography with the fight, and to get that, it just takes a lot of time. So if you want good fights, television isn't really the place to get it.
Yeah, I heard that the Raid was the best action movie like in years, and the Raid 2 is probably going to be the best action movie this year.
Everyone, when people talk to me about fight movies, they go, we want our movie to look like the Raid Redemption. And they want that style of fighting, which is called Penjat Silat, or Silat. It's an Indonesian fight style, but really what they want is they want brutal hits, And people in the horror world can appreciate that. And, in My Bloody Valentine, there were a lot of brutal hits, and, people like that. And I'm good at that. I'm really good at putting the camera in the right place, making the camera move so that the audiences... If you watch the action shots in Captain America where Samuel L. Jackson is Samuel L. Jackson is being chased through the streets in a black SUV as guys are on foot chasing him with ARs. But there's traffic, so they can chase him on foot, and they're shooting at him, through his car and doing all this crazy stuff. There's so much camera movement in that, and that's what makes those scenes so dynamic. Is the camera's moving it's not like the camera's sitting there watching the guy run. The camera's moving all the time, and that's what makes a lot of the stuff that we don't like, so interesting to watch. So you have to have that knowledge as well as the fights, or the car sequences. You got to understand camera.
Definitely. What's your favorite stunt done by another stunt actor?
There was some work done in Iron Man 3. What's the last Iron Man that came out? Is that Iron Man 3?
Yep.
Yeah, there's some skydiving work done by the Red Bull skydiving team.
Oh, yeah.
That is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. Jeff Haberstadt was the stunt coordinator on that. He brought in the Red Bull skydiving team. They had a rigging crew that had them landing in the water, being dropped by Iron Man into that bay or whatever. I mean, that was pretty damn dynamic. But, I'm a big fan of car work, and, the Fast and the Furious guys are doing good car work. And there was some, this stuff people might not find as exciting as that, but the car work in Gangster Squad was pretty good too. They're doing it all in old-fashioned cars, from the 30s, 40s, and kind of doing some radical stuff in those things because they don't cooperate with you like sports cars do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Chris.
So, I like car work. I like high work. I like fights. There's good fight. I just want everybody to know, stunt women are way tougher than stunt guys.
Yes!
Everybody's like, oh, stuntman this, stuntman that. Guess what the girls have to wear when they do stunts?
What?
Practically nothing. They're always in a little strappy number that, goes, just down to about mid-thigh. So they can't wear knee pads. They can't wear elbow pads. They can't, wear any shoulder or back protection. Me, I walk in the door, I'm like, hey, what's my wardrobe?
Has
this scene been established? And they'll know. I'm like, put me in a hoodie. That way I can dress up like the Michelin Man underneath my clothes, and I can smack walls, fall down stairs, and I'm fine. But stunt girls, they're on the back of motorcycles, they're in the back of pickup trucks, sliding around turns, falling at them in, a dress.
Yeah.
So, what I'm trying to say, if you open my stunt bag full of pads, I just want to tell you, it's not a pleasant smell. You open a girl's stunt bag, it smells all nice and pretty because they don't freaking use them.
Well, thank you for calling that out because
that's
actually.
That's one thing about stunt girls are tougher than stuntmen. Anyway, what's your next question?
I've talked to some women over the years who have said the same thing. They're like, oh, we had to jump out of this burning building wearing a tank top and some shorts. And the man got to wear a suit with, elbow pads and knee pads underneath that you couldn't see because he got to wear, a tuxedo. But the woman had to wear, the dress, and so the stunt woman had to, tumble out in next to nothing. There was no tomorrow.
Exactly.
So... Thank you for calling out for the ladies.
You're welcome. I'm always trying to make the ladies happy.
Well, we appreciate you coming back on the show with us, Chris, to talk a little bit about Captain America and and a couple of the again, one of my favorite TV series, Grimm. After Guardians of the Galaxy comes out, you'll have to say a few words about that.
Awesome, can do. I just want you to know that there's another faction of the stunt world called riggers, and riggers are the guys that make everybody fly, like Spider-Man and Captain America, or, the Falcon.
Yep.
And, in Captain America, he flew.
Yep.
And Aaron Toney was the stunt double for Mackie on that, and he's actually flying through the air, but he's hooked up to wires, and the guys that accomplish that, that do all that stuff, and everybody walks away and gets to go home to their family, those unsung heroes, but that's something, everybody should kind of give a little nod to or recognize, because I'm a big fan of riggers, because we all walk home safely because they're so damn good at what they do.
Cool. Well, hey, you know of any riggers or any other stunt actors that would love to come on the show with us, please pass on our information.
I will. I'll tell them.
Cool.
All right, Chris. Thank you guys for calling, and sorry it's so late over there, but it's only like 8:30 here now.
No, it's okay.
Have a great evening.
You too,
Good
man.
night, Chris.
Bye.
All right. Good night. Bye.
And that was Chris Carnel, stunt actor for several different projects like Friday the 13th and Captain America and Iron Man. Not Iron Man. He didn't work on Iron Man. He talked about Iron Man.
He actually, I think I saw he did work on one of the Iron Man films. It was one of the earlier ones. It was not the last one.
Yeah,
I
think of the first one. Iron Man 2. And we'll be back with more Radio and Horror in just a few moments.